Hi, everyone. We have author Tove here, and she's going to let us know a little bit about herself.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Thank you for having me, Kia. I feel like we've been chatting for so long that we already know each other.
Right. Finally just getting to put a face with the emails and everything, right? A face and a voice.
I
Thank
saw
you
your
so
face
much.
with the with my baby, so it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
but it's
you.
good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hey, so tell us the name Keys of Philadelphia. Where did that come from?
Sure. So my husband and I, we used to live in Los Angeles for most of our 20s, so for about 10 years. And when we first came back from LA to Maryland, we're both from Maryland. We're Baltimore natives. So a lot of the times when people hear Keys of Philadelphia, they're like, oh, you from Philly? And we like, no. So we got some explaining to do because, Baltimore be more, we go hard. So it's like Philly, the side eye, like nothing wrong with Philly.
Right.
But, if you're from somewhere else. And so it actually is a place in Asia Minor. It's one of the 7 churches listed in the book of Revelation.
Okay.
And it's from the root phileo. So it's love that also include like love with deep affection. So it's like friendship, love, deep affection. Like you actually like the person is usually not the type of love you would have for an enemy, because usually you would have agape love for an enemy. Mm-hmm. And so the Keys of Philadelphia, a lot of the music that we create, it comes from like our real life, what we go through and how we're sifting through our layers and getting to all of that. And so we were actually doing Bible study, and like we read about the Church of Philadelphia. We were like, oh wow, they're pretty dope. And it just kind of like we were inspired at that time with the name. Okay. So to name us as artists. That's how the name came about.
Thanks for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Because I was thinking y'all was from Philly too.
I know, everybody does. Understandably so. Yeah.
And what inspired you to start writing?
So I read a lot. I was definitely like a nerd, book nerd in particular, growing up. Avid reader. My books were my friends. It was a Saturday, and I would be like laying out on my mama's coffee table with my Maya Angelou, with my book like this all Saturday. Yes. So, pretty much Nikki Giovanni raised me, Maya Angelou raised me, like, all of the foremothers. And from that, I just feel like it's a gift. I feel like it's just something that I've always done. And I thought that I guess typically when you have a gift is usually, I think that everybody does it too. And it wasn't until like my mom or other people pointed out, like, no, like you should really consider writing. And I'm like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Everybody does, everybody writes, And so, which I still believe everybody can write, just as an artist or as a creative, just really getting in touch with the moment. Yeah. And being able to like just express it. And so I wrote my first 5 fantasy like book, and I submitted it to my English teacher. I think that was 6th grade. And I wrote poetry all throughout like high school, elementary, grew up in theater. And I wrote my first book, Lady Be More. It was under my name, Tove. That was in 2006 was the release date. And this is like my second book.
That was another poetry book?
No, it was a type of lit that I called real life lit. Okay. It was like a combination of like faith-based lit and street lit. And it was about a woman named Lady Belmore who came from Baltimore and moved to
the puppy.
I'm a mom. I'm what do you call it? A dog mom?
Dog mom.
Yes. So my husband, he was going to join us too, but she's keeping us kind of busy. So doing it at home. Lady Belmore. And so it was about a dancer from Baltimore, how she moved to LA to become successful, but it made her like really face her personal and family demons. And so it did really well, actually. But I had some personal life events that happened. So, and I talk about it in this book. Okay. Took a mental health break. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it. So
Okay. Did you experience any type of writer's block?
I did not. I did. I actually talked about it in the book.
Okay.
When I'm paraphrasing, but I was basically saying that, well, I guess sometimes when you go through things as a writer, the pain of what you go through, or if you go through any type of trauma, sometimes you get to a point as to where it's just too painful to write or to talk about.
Okay.
And you're processing it. And so one of the poems, I just put, I couldn't write. It was too much of a pain, like, to bear.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's crazy. I didn't really do any creative writing, maybe for about at least 10 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I did see that I can't write. I did see that in there.
Mm-hmm. It was about 10 years. I think during that period, I was like, I'm not an artist. I'm not creative. I just was just like, didn't want to be in touch. But now looking back, I think it was just, I wasn't ready to process anything.
Okay. Now, have you always kept a journal? So you always kept it tucked away, or you just stopped?
No,
Wow.
I just stopped. Like, literally, like this book, it actually was born in my Google Notes, like the Google Keep. And I just started writing in there, and it just started as one poem. It wasn't planned as much either. I know that sounds so weird, but it was just like, I guess at that appropriate time when I was ready, when I processed it enough, I was just ready to talk about it, and I was able to get it, like, use the words to, express everything. Because I believe being an artist is totally like a spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just words on paper. It's like the manifestation of, your feelings, everything going on with you spiritually. It becomes alive through the words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we all know that you have your three daughters that are also authors and artists. But did you come from a literary background?
No. I was born, I'm gonna tell myself, I don't mind telling me, I'm 41, right? So I'm born 1979, and that's during a time where, you grow up, I was a 90s baby, but you grew up in the 80s, the 90s. Most of the time, your parents were worried about, like, the war on drugs, which I talked about in there. So there were a lot of dreams deferred. My dad passed a couple of years ago, but I didn't even know until after he died, talking to my aunt, that he could sing, that he could dance. I just really think our parents during that time were really focused on holding on as much as they could to make it.
Yeah.
So it was like, do you come from this background? You like, girl, I'm happy I'm able to go to college. Like,
right.
Our babies, the Gen Xers, them babies, they dreamers. They get the opportunity to dream, because of all of us who paved the way and afforded them to be able to do so. And Gen Xers, we dreamed as well, but a lot of our dreaming, we had to, like, really burst through the pain, the hood, the impossible, It was very common in the 90s if you had at least one parent's either on drugs or, dealing with alcohol or some type of, like, substance abuse. So I know my mom said that she was not a writer. You know what? I take that back. My dad, I really believe he probably would have been a writer, because I was probably about 8. And he started journaling, and I found out a lot about his life, and it was really good, so he probably was the writer, but just didn't get the opportunity to really have it come full force.
Okay, so now let's talk about your book, But. So how did you come up with the name? Why did you name it But?
So it started off as a song. My husband and I wrote a song called But. And if you listen to the song, it's literally like us, like, trying to figure out if we want to be with each other, if we like each other, all in 3 minutes. And it was during a time in our marriage where, it's every relationship has ups and downs, but we were really trying to figure out like where we were. And there were still pieces of information that we didn't know about each other that we know now. And I think that's, common, but it was just that pivotal point where it was like, I'm so in love with you, but this happened, or I got this from my childhood, or I got this layer I got to peel back, so it keep jagging us up. Or it's like, I want to give up on us, but I really love you. Like, yeah. So it really captured like just that, but like, with it. The poem I'm going to share today was the first poem as we were writing the song. We wrote the song and we were recording it, and that was a process. During that time, I think after writing the song and getting creative again, it was like, oh, I really think it's more to it. The poem kind of just flowed. Okay. So it came out in like one day. It wasn't something that I sat around and thought about. Yeah.
And how long did it take you to finish the book?
So I journaled over the course of 2 years. So I started writing over the last 2 years. It started with one poem, then it was another, then it was another, and then it kept going. And then it was just like, okay. And then, so, and I'm in school, so I'm getting my master's in this spring, actually 3 more classes. Woo woo.
Congrats.
And during that time, I was doing a lot of studies dealing with like womanism, which you see the influence there, as well. And so that really influenced my writing. So it was like a combination of life experience, a combination of, me reflecting on therapy and things of that nature, and then a combination of being in school and like really facing myself and looking at the literature and then being inspired from that.
Okay. Now you touch bases on almost everything in this book, right? You're talking about the Black man, you're talking about love, you talked about sex, you talked about rape, you talked about, the strength of a woman, police brutality. Like I was reading everything in there. Now, how easy was it for you to release this to the world, your baby, your book?
Oh, not easy. I think I'm still releasing it.
Okay.
Because I'm typically like, go get her, go, let's get this out. And I can see myself, I'm like, okay, why am I like dragging my feet? I'm like, hey, you want to see my book? Like, like real aggressive. Because it's just like, my best friend, one of my best friends I talked about at Kali, I actually, spoke about her in the book. I remember letting her read one of the advanced copies. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's like coaching me through it. I was like, do you think this is too personal? Like, I feel like my heart is out there with the word. She was like, girl, bye. She was like, we need this, she was like, it definitely is really personal, but I do feel more free now.
Okay.
A lot of the things most of the things that I've talked about in the book, I had the opportunity to process it. And I really do think it helped with me to go through my own personal trauma work. Because typically with trauma, your brain, like it stops. And so it's almost like a rewiring that goes through it. And so I do feel like there was a lot of healing for me. And I think a lot of it had to do with being able to kind of have those conversations with yourself. And then I think when other people in the community read it and you have more conversation about it, that encourages healing. Because I'm a firm believer that we heal in community. Mm-hmm. Like that is like the conclusion of the healing, amongst others. So.
Okay. Yes. And I'm telling you, like, me reading it,
mm-hmm. Yes, I want to hear about what you think.
Me reading I don't like to talk much. I like to ask questions and let
We
you
need
guys
you to talk though.
But I have to let you know that me reading it, and I have to go back and reread it. And this is a book that I'm going to have to constantly go back to, just to instill your words in my head, because it will help people push through, because I was reading it, like I told you earlier, I had to close the book for a minute. Like, wow. It's so much in there. It's so relatable, it's hard to believe that other people are actually, a lot of times we think we're going through things alone.
Right.
And this is your book. This is your baby, but I can hold it like this and be like, wow, like you're going to have me tearing. Like, look. So thank you for sharing it. It's very deep, very deep, very deep. I absolutely love it. So you ready to read your poem?
Sure.
Okay.
Sunflowers and Roses. So this is the first poem. This is what began it all. I got sick of covering holes in our walls with sunflowers, and my suppressed anger led to depression. So I decided to do what I should have done my entire life: kick the walls in. Prison. The walls gave me a false sense of security, but I hate walls. I know why the caged bird sings, and I'm sick and tired of singing the same sick and tired love song. So I wrote a new one. Hatred leads to self-hatred, which breeds more self-hatred, which breeds babies who hate being here, which remind us that they didn't ask to be here. And others act like our story wasn't told here, building more walls to cages. That system is a pimp. So no need for me to dress up mess and live in a home where I open my legs to hundreds of years of mistaken misidentity. Knowing who I am now, I can accept no less than a happy ending. So I threw out the sunflowers so we could build a new home. Everything up to this point was lost. We lost everything over and over again in order to gain everything. Like Alice Walker, I was in search of my mother's garden, and instead I found my own because our mothers stopped planting gardens so they could pick up needles and liquor bottles instead. While enduring trauma from being in the war on our families, our dreams were deferred, hoping we would see life like the Cosbys, but it never came. We learned to grow out of the concrete, making the struggle beautiful like Tupac. My womanish ways won't allow me to decorate mess any longer, so here, take back your sunflowers. I prefer roses.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. What were some of the poems that like touched your heart the most?
All of them. That one. And let me see what else I tagged here. We have Do You Know a Previous Relationship?
Mm-hmm.
That one. I think for what I'm going through now, and I posted it on my personal, I took a screenshot and posted it on my personal Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
It was mourning, right? So usually when you think about mourning, you think about mourning people who are no longer here.
Yeah.
But the way you wrote this one, we have to mourn people that we just have to let go as well. Mm-hmm. So I think this is one of my favorite ones. Here, Unpeeled mm-hmm. Layers of Trauma.
Yeah.
I love that one. For Every Black Man.
Mm-hmm.
It All Falls Down. Bye, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot in here. And I can't wait to discuss this book with the women of the book club.
Yeah. I feel like with even with Bye Bitch, Clinton, because the dichotomy in it is like we are known to be professional code switchers and to flip things and almost like modern day alchemists. You give us a layup, we go and flip it and turn it to gold.
Yes.
So that is like one of those words where it's just like, okay, yeah, that's my B. The next thing you know, you like, why in every song we gotta be a B? But then it's like a love-hate relationship with that word.
It is.
But I really felt like I think overall, I really feel like it's so important for us to have a voice. Like, because Black women in particular, of course, because of the history, we have such a, what's the word? A unique story because of our unique experiences here and how that has affected our relationships. And I think what also took me so long, Kia, to write it is because it started with me personally, right? And then a part of me was like, is this all over the place? You know, because like I'm talking about police brutality, I'm talking about family and the elders and this and that. And I realized, I'm like, wow, like, especially when it comes, I feel like for all women, but especially when it comes for Black women, in order for you to get to the layers of love for self and love for others, there's so many layers of everything else that we have to sift through, you know? I mean, there is a such thing as post-traumatic slave syndrome, you know? Toni Morrison, she has this quote where she says, water has perfect memory. You know, we're comprised mostly of water. And it's just like, you know, what do you do when it's not easy to forget? We're like not created to forget. Like, even if it's, whether it's something we experience or something that's just in the DNA, and it's just like, to be able to face that and have, it's almost like it can be uncomfortable, you know? Right. Because like certain things might be taboo, right? Especially with previous generations, like sex is like, woo, you know, but I'm like, sex is beautiful, it's divine, let's talk about it, right? You know? And especially with the hypersexualization, like how Black women are branded as being hypersexualized and things of that nature, you know, but I'm like, a Black woman being sexual is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful, you know. Our bodies are beautiful, you know, even with like, you know, colorism, like we need to talk about it, you know, it's perfect memory there. Yeah. So that's what that warms my heart. Like today, like us talking right now, it warms my heart. In the beginning of us releasing the book, we did before the pandemic, we did a book tour. Okay. And we visited all Black women-owned bookstores. We started in Brooklyn at Cafe Con Libros, and to just experience, and I really want to thank the women along the way, but just to experience and be able to share our story and just talk in community with other women. You know, there were tears, you know, there were laughs, because it's like we're so busy trying to take care of home, take care of self, fight through things that we just don't have a moment sometimes to just breathe. And that breath is just so important, you know? When we first started with the book club, you know, we had a new moms. I think my son was maybe like 5. Oh. And we're always so busy, you know, we have to do this, we got to do this. Wait, I'm gonna have time for listen, we're gonna start a book club, we're gonna read books, we're gonna leave the kids at home, and we're gonna take a minute out for ourselves. However you can read the book, if you have to do Audible, you know, if you have to read it on your phone, you read however you read, but we're gonna make sure that we take a minute for ourselves. We're going to discuss these books. We're going to have some wine. We're going to have some food, just to, you know, to just take a minute. So it's funny you said that, because we do need to do that more. It's like therapy, girl. Yes, it is. It really is. It really is. You remember what it was like when you read like Maya Angelou, I Know Where the Caged Bird Sings? Yes. Yeah. Same thing. Yep. Yeah. Yep. And I think when I first read that book, I was really too young to understand exactly. Right. So that's a book that you have to go back to when you get a little older and you have a little bit more experiences in life, and go back and read those type of books. But yes. I felt like Maya she really prepared me, you know, for adulthood. And I feel like I didn't really comprehend Alice Walker. Okay. Everybody, you know, read, you know, you see The Color Purple and things like that, but you don't really grasp Alice Walker and what she has done for the literary world, especially for Black women, but just in general, like I'm at all, like just being able to have life experience and then reflect and read, you know, because she actually created the term womanism in Search of Our Mother's Gardens. And that was the first time when I read In Search of Our Mother's Gardens and she defined womanism, and I was like, that's me. Like, loves roundness, you know, like would be quick to say, hey, I'm going to move to LA. Why? Because that's just the womanist thing. Like, just her definition and how she embodied that. And a lot of these times, these writers, they are so far ahead of their time. And I'm thankful for that because we need it. We need it.
Absolutely. So what do you hope readers take away from reading your poetry?
Freedom, and knowing that they are not alone. Like, I hope it would encourage conversation, community, but most importantly, freedom. I feel like a huge theme in the book, for me, it helped me to be free. And a huge theme of the book is liberation, but liberation from the standpoint of being free, like from yourself. Because I feel like we're born into this world and there's so many, can't think of the word, but we're expected to fit the mold of so many things. And if we don't line up to that, especially as a Black woman, it's like, what do you mean? You know, like I talk about in the book, you know, Black men raise daughters, don't beat your daughters. That's like, in our community, like, what are you talking about? Like, you better beat. And I'm like, no, like, you know, one of the things, a gift that my father gave me, he didn't beat us. He read child psychology. That saved my life. It's times where, you know, you could see the abuse in the book, but I really believe because abuse was not my norm in that way, that when the physical abuse might have came or tried to come, it was like, oh, whoa, like, what's this? Like,
right.
You know, but liberation, like, be you.
Yes.
Like, be you, boo-boo, let's do it. You know, like, it's okay to be you. It's okay to be sexy. It's okay to be, you know, super smart. It's okay to code switch, you know. It's just okay. Like, just live life.
Yes.
Like, be who you are, unapologetically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And where can we purchase your book?
So it's everywhere. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that. It's on our website too. So just wherever you prefer, you know.
And tell everybody your social media handle.
Sure, it's keysoffphiladelphia.com. And then our record label / book publishing company is xomtg.com. And that's X like xylophone. It stands for with Love Machine the Green. So XOMTG. Okay.
Cool.
And the song is out too.
The song is out too. Yes, it is. Now, do you have more coming for us? Is there another book on the way?
I feel like I do. Like, I'm really, I'm doing a paper right now. I'm applying to get my PhD. So I'm working on a paper that has to do with water. I'm really infatuated with this water has memory. So I really feel the inspiration coming regarding that. So we shall see. That's still in the works. But in general, like our record label XOMTG, our business model is that we release a song and a book, and the songs that we have out is the name of our forthcoming EPs. Okay. So our goal is, most of the time, you know, with a song is 3 minutes and it's done, but we want for people to understand our heart, understand the brand, and to also share in community with us, because community is more important than anything else to us, through the books, because the books really tell the story. And so a lot of it is to budget, because we're independent, you know, major labels, they have huge backings, you know, the money goes long. So I'm hoping maybe around 2021 we could get something cracking, you know, but we're still promoting these.
Yeah.
And it typically takes like 2 years to break a single when it comes to music. And then with books, we're pretty much starting, you know, our contact list and everything all over. So we shall see.
Okay. I do love the whole idea, the whole multimedia thing. I think that that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes, the music with the book and the videos.
To shout out Dana Rice. He's the video director, film director out in Los Angeles. He shot all of the videos. And Mark Weems, he does like a lot of the like he designed our logo.
Okay.
And you know, Black brothers out there doing it. Mark Weems, he's now doing tattoos and stuff. So I'm really proud of them. It's been an honor to have like an intimate group of people that you work with creatively, you know. But thank you so much. That means so much.
No problem. But my honest opinion and my honest review on this book, and I'm almost finished. I am. Where am I? But I Am Woman, right? So I read.
Oh, that's the last chapter.
Yes, the last chapter. So I don't have far to go. But from here, I'm giving it 5 stars.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely giving it 5 stars. And my review is to come. But I'm going to just continue to say thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank
You're
you.
And thank you, though.
Yes. How does that make you feel when people tell you about your work?
It's encouraging. I did notice that a lot of people would start it and not finish it. So at first it was like, is it relatable? Like, but I don't know. It's so weird. Like, this book was like so personal to me that it was like, I guess it was liberation for me. That when I hear if it's liberation for someone else and that makes me happy. But I guess it's like, also, this is something that like is just who you are, which turns into like something that you do. So of course your goal is you would want everyone to relate to it, but you know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
If they, you know, will. I don't know. It sounds weird, but I'm like kind of indifferent. But I'm not indifferent. I'm still at this place where I'm trying to figure it out, honestly. Like,
because it's not about one specific thing, I feel like it's something in here for everyone to relate to.
Writing this particular book changed my life. Like, I definitely am not like the same person that I was, but I think it just is more so because it helped me to process everything that I was like learning from school, from other people, from experiences.
Okay.
So yeah, it literally helped me to, like, I would say move forward, because I feel like that's what it is. I felt stuck. And so it helped me to like move forward.
Okay.
Like after writing it, like I feel like I'm moving forward and I can like live my life. Trauma is something else. I will tell you that. And I think when you're sifting through trauma, it can almost feel like you want to move forward in life, but you're just like stuck in this one place. And like, is it always going to be like that?
Right.
You know, but then when you start moving forward, it's like, okay, like this is better. I like this. Like, there's more to life, like, than this one little area. And then you almost a part of you be like, dang, man, did I have to like be stuck here, like it there for that amount of time? Like, you know, but then you become gentle with yourself and it's like, hey, like you lived through it.
Right.
Nothing's important.
That's where I'm at right here. Trauma is the real bitch, not us. Black women have endured more than we thought we ever could bear. And they have the nerve to call us angry Black women. But when you're writing, do you have a specific writing space? Or it just comes to you and you...
No, I got 3 kids and a husband. He's sitting here lying. Talk about, I like the candles. No, girl, sometimes I think some of them poems, I was like, we going down the street.
Wow.
And just typing on the go. Like I don't think in general though, for me, I never really had like a writing. I'm not one of the writers that need like a writing space per se or separate writing time. I think this took me 2 years to write only because it was just almost like when something inspired me, or it could have been me and my husband had a disagreement or something, like, or something happened in life and I just was like, I'm gonna just tell it to the book, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of the poems in there that talks about the spoken word versus the written word. The spoken word oftentimes tells on you, whereas the written word knows how to keep a secret and doesn't judge you. So I feel like writing it down is just kind of like your secret place.
Mm-hmm.
But this was more so of a like journaling experience, but it just happened that it took the form of poetry and prose.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye.